The DeSoto Parish School Board Finance Operation Committee meeting in regular session on Thursday, May the 22nd, 2025 at 3 p.m. at the DeSoto Parish School Board Administration Building, 399 Jenkins Street, Mansfield, Louisiana. We will now call a meeting to order. Are there any revisions? While we call a meeting order, we're going to ask Mr. Boyd to do the prayer. We're going to also pray for Miss Sherry's son. Anybody else?
And just thank the man upstairs for a successful school year.
Yes.
I mean, I don't have the text yet, but about 4:15, I'll get that final text message that all buses have cleared it up. So we're going to go ahead and claim that.
Father God, we want to thank you for the blessings that you've done and the ones that you're going to do. Father God, we thank you for your grace and your mercy, which spared us to see another day. We ask a special blessing upon the sick, the names that were mentioned. We ask a special blessing upon the DeSoto Parish School Board system. School is out now, Father God. Throw your love protection around the employees and especially the children as they travel from playground to playground. Cover their head, Father God. Bless us as a whole. Bless this nation as a whole.
Yes.
Father God, we're living in some times that seem like man have forgotten that you're God. But one day you're going to realize that you're God. You're God by yourself. And the little power that he do have, you just let him use that for a little while. But all power and all health and strength come from you. These blessings we ask in our son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Are there any revisions to the agenda, Mr. Carter?
No, ma'am.
Update on sales tax receipts, Mr. Flanders?
All right. Report for sales tax received for the month of March. The collections were $3,184,666, which is an increase of $155,000 over the same time period last year. Commission fee for the month was $37,261. And you'll see that year-to-date collections are 1.6% above where they were at this time last year. And the commission fee percentage to this point is 1.03. Any have questions about sales tax? Yes, sir. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go through the medical report, and then I'll do the dental report, and then I've asked Jason and Rama to kind of give us a update on where we are with our plans. You know, I've been giving you these reports all year, and the medical plan especially has been struggling. So Jason's going to give us an update, kind of where we are and some options we have. And after I do these two reports, I'll just turn it over to him for that. So as far as medical first, you'll see for the month of April, we have 1,115 participating. Total revenue of $1,352,012. Total costs for the month were $1,204,289, which gave us a gain of $147,724. So that's 2 months in a row now where we're in the black. But a big contributor to us being in the black is reinsurance money's coming in now. We've had some really large claims that we've been looking at over the year. So now the deductibles have been met. We're getting some reinsurance money in, and so that's helping the claims number or the total cost number to look better each month. But as you see at the bottom there, claims are up 32% over the same period last year. So this is something that's still having to be watched very closely, and decisions to be made on how to move forward with the plan for our employee medical. Any questions about the medical plan? Okay, now I'll go ahead and do the dental. So same time period, April, total participants, 1,017. Total dental revenue was 74,818. Total dental cost was 90,130 or 140. So that was a loss of 15,322 for the month. So again, last 2 months have been in the red for dental. Jason's going to touch on dental plan and give us an overview of the progress of this year, and we'll see that here in just a minute. But dental claims are up 5.5% right now, same time period last year. Anyone have any questions about the dental?
The numbers of claims or
Amount is definitely up. So, okay. So at this point, I was going to ask Jason, this presentation is in our slides here. Jason, just let them know whenever you want them to scroll up. It's not a touch screen. So, but if you will, just kind of give us an overview, kind of where we are, where we're going, what's happening with our plans at this point.
I don't know whether to say thank you or
You're
thank
right.
you. Anyway, so again, my name is Jason Wineland. This is Raymond Norton. We're the plan consultants. We've been on the risk. We've been on the risk on the plan for a number of years, and it's great to work with the administrative staff, Mr. Corley, and everybody's been absolutely wonderful over the years. So you're a good group to have. We love working with you. The last time I was called in front of the finance committee to give similar news was 10 years ago, which means y'all haven't had a rate increase in 10 years to the plan, okay? Now, that's one thing, but the other thing is that has not, just because the plan is run fairly stable and predictable, it doesn't mean that you're immune from what's going on out there in the market, okay? And we had one of those years, okay? So Danelle, in her kindness, basically told me to keep this short. And you can already tell that I'm that guy that gets talking and I might not ever shut up. So I'm going to keep it short. All right. So I narrowed this slide presentation down to only like 10 pages from the 20 or 30 it was, but we're going to focus on 4 areas. I'm going to walk you through quickly medical underwriting and ask for an increase. Y'all decide if you're going to do that. Dental, same way. We're going to just have a quick carrier conversation. Now, remember, I'm talking about the finance of the plan. I'm not talking about the benefits to the employees, deductibles, the out-of-pockets, because you're going to see that you guys have great benefits, retention and recruiting. You got one of the best benefit plans. You should continue to do that because you're going to see that the thing that's driving your healthcare cost is the propensity for your large claims. Okay, so in the end, it really doesn't matter what your benefits are because large claims are what's driving that cost. So keep the benefits, the deductible, the copays, all that stuff. Keep that. We're not talking about that. But we're talking about underlying the plan financing, okay? And then we're going to start the conversation about kind of a trend that's been the last 5 years about the retiree class over 65 that's on Medicare and what we can do with that risk, okay? Because there's a lot of claims in that population, and there are some plans out there now where we can risk. There's 2 things to talk about today. What we call risk mitigation, which is just trying to manage our claims, and risk transfer, like in other words, get the risk off the plan, okay? So obviously if we can get the risk off the plan, that's best, but there's some politics to it. So go ahead. All right, so I'm not gonna, this is actually a brief slide, thank you. But this is 10 months of how we underwrite the plan. I'm just gonna take you to the bottom line. So this is 10 months. And because we've got some underlying financial piece, this doesn't queue up with Stephen's number exactly, but it will, just because I've got 10 months and I'm running 10 months out. So I'm projecting a deficit of about $1.6 million, probably about $2 million by the time the year runs out. Okay. So Stephen has already $3 million on there. But when I do my underwriting, I tie it to the enrollment and I just annualize everything. In other words, there was 100 people on the plan. I take that 100 times 12 months. So I'm comparing apples to apples, whereas his reports are every month. Here was the deficit, here was the deficit, here's the profit, okay? So the numbers will, in the end, they'll queue up perfectly. But right now, that's why there's a discrepancy. So, but don't worry about the discrepancy. The bottom line is it's in the red by a lot. Okay. Go ahead. Okay. So this, don't pay much attention to. There's two numbers on here I want to draw your attention to. So the measure of claims in my business is what's called your per employee per month claims. And I do that, I calculate that by everyone's just a unit. So you're on the invoice, you're a single person, you're one. If you're on the invoice, you're a whole family, you're still one. Okay, so it's per employee, per unit, per month. Okay, so last year, our per employee per month claim cost, medical and RX, was $1,048. So if anybody ever says, how much are our people costing us? You can say, they're costing us $1,048 every month. Okay, your month, so it's $12,500 a year. This year, that's jumped up 21.5% through April, and we're at $1,274. Okay, that's a big jump, and I'm going to show you why on the next slide. And you can always tie, I'm always asked, well, what causes that? And I'm going to show you here in a second. So this is standard underwriting methodology to project next year. Okay, so I take that, I run all this math and trend, inflation, all the things underwriters do. I get my projected year of claims. Our stop loss premium, the plan has a financial mechanism, an insurance policy underneath it that protects you against some of these large claims. Okay, and they were charging you about $700,000, and that went up to $1.1 million. Okay, so we're going to shop that. That's an insurance carrier that finances the large risk. So basically, in the end, here's where I'm calling the plan at the current rates or your funding rates. We're going to have about a $3 million deficit at the end of next year if things keep going the way they're going. Okay. Now remember, I'm blending these 2 years, which is what all underwriters do. If I put 100% credibility on this year, this number would be higher. So I'm basically asking for a 19% increase just to break even. Now, you're self-insured. Okay. If this doesn't meet out the way that I underwrite, and you've had a hot year, and traditionally 1 out of every 4 or 5 years, you're going to have the plan on fire. Okay. So my assumption is that next year will be better. So I would say you should at least consider a 10% increase, okay, to your funding rates. 15 if you want to be safe. So if this was Blue Cross and you were fully insured, they'd say, we're going to give you 19% to get even, and then we're going to give you an extra 15% on top of that for our margin, okay? So the financing of your plan being self-funded is absolutely the way to go, because you start at zero every year. Last year, the plan made money. It was great. This year, it didn't. So I would at least say as you confine, go back into committee and think this through, at least shoot for 10%, okay? You don't have to fund it all, but if you do, that's what you got to do. Does that make sense? I know that's a lot of numbers, but I'm trying to just stick to the main points. Anybody got any questions? Okay, roll on. There's the problem. So these are our large claims. Okay, 12 large claims. Your plan lays off the risk. We sell the risk at $300,000. And Sun Life is your stop. It's called a stop loss carrier. Sun Life takes on the risk at $300,000. Last year they had 0 claims they paid. This year they are going to pay. We're projecting they're going to pay well over $1 million. Okay. So what is Sun Life's response? Let my people go. Please, let's move on. Okay. They've been on the risk about 10 years. They've had ups and they've down, but this year they are calling it quits. And they didn't really call it quits. They've offered us a renewal. It's just, I don't think we should take it. So a couple of these claims are ongoing and probably will be there for a while, but this is the problem. Okay. So you can see, this goes back to my original statement about the benefits. What the end user sees, right? $300 deductible, $3,000 out of pocket. Great, keep all that. Because in the end, that's all they see, right? This is what's driving your plan cost. And last year, we had about the same number of claimants, but there were only a few over $300,000. So it's just been one of those years, right? Now, will this happen again? We don't know, but we have to talk about the insurance product. Go ahead and roll it. So this is for people that are visual about it. So this is last year. This is what I like. You can see you've got 12 people eating up 24% of all the claims paid. This year you've got 12 people, 25%. So you have what I consider to be great statistical credibility, which means that I think I'm right in my projections, okay? But look at this. Last year, the stop-loss carrier paid 0, and this year, just through 10 months, they're already in the whole $600-something thousand. And we still got 2 months to go, and those 2 months are gonna burn that carrier to the ground, right? And we're gonna wanna make sure, because all the financing piece starts over July 1st, so we're gonna make sure we push in claims, because now all these large claims you're getting reimbursed for by the stop-loss carrier. So we're gonna sweep all these claims in, and before we say goodbye to Sun Life, we're gonna send them off with a little present, okay? But yeah, so that, go ahead and go to the next one. So that helps in this slide, because the more claims we can push in before July 1 on those large claims, that will siphon off claims for this new carrier that we're presenting, okay? There's a lot of numbers, all right? I had about 5 slides from the renewal, different variations, but this is what we've settled on, because this is the stop loss decision has about 20 different things we got to talk about. But we're going to look at a new carrier, Gerber Life, the baby food people, right? Mm-hmm. Baby food wasn't good enough, so they got in the insurance business. And yeah, so we're going to raise the deductible to $350,000, because if you take on more liability, they lower the premium. Okay. So remember, you're self-insured to minimize the fixed cost of the plan. Okay. And then we're trying to mitigate our claims. We're trying to handle and do a better job with our claims. So the total fixed cost of the plan, all right, drops considerably with the stop loss insurance, right? So this is what we're going with. It's got a few caveats that we talked about in committee, but in the end, this is why I put the little star up there. I know teachers like little stars, right? So why I used to get I didn't get many stars, but anyway. So I actually never got any. But anyway, so that's the stop loss piece, and it has all the contractual benefits and everything that we negotiate on. It's just a complicated process. I just tried to reduce it to one thing to basically say we're going to save fixed cost and we're going to change carrier. Okay.
All
right.
Last thing.
Yeah.
I guess they fixed cost to what?
Change carriers. Yeah, move from Sun Life. So Sun Life is asked to go off the risk, and we're going to grant them their wish. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. Okay. So this is the.
I had one question.
Yeah.
I think you answered it. But the essential contract with Gerber is going to be the same as we have with Sun Life.
Yeah, it's going to have a different threshold to get off at. We analyzed keeping the same $300,000 threshold or raising the threshold to $350,000, but getting less premium. Okay, so we're going to raise the threshold and pay less premium, but all the contractual benefits that I request are in it. Yeah, good question. All right. Okay, this is the one that seems to cause the most stir. Okay, so this is. We have about three, what we could count. We have 399 retirees. These are post 65 retirees, not pre 65. Okay. We're not talking about all retirees. Okay. So there's somewhat of a new product out there called a group Medicare Advantage plan. So you've probably seen the ads for Medicare Advantage plans on TV, and you probably heard all the horror stories. And on an individual basis, they're right. That's not a good product. Okay. But the group product is actually good. It allows people we can correct the benefits we want. And generally I have a couple of these plans in place with other municipalities, and you can have 100% benefit plan, no deductibles, no copays, very minimal RX copays, and basically pays almost 100% of everything with no network. They can go to any doctor or any hospital. Okay. Now, why is that? Well, because they're hugely subsidized by the federal government, okay? So now we're gonna talk about risk transfer. Let's let the federal government take this over, right? And put it on a fully insured basis. So I added up all the claims through 10 months, medical claims, all the prescription drug claims, and these are the various classes of retirees we have. It's messy. Some people are grandfathered, don't have Medicare. Some people have Medicare A and B. Medicare is complicated, but we come out, if you decide to do this, this is effective January 1. If you decide to do this, we have all kinds of meetings with the retirees. They him and hawing, but until they understand it. But it's actually a really good product because it's on a fully funded basis, takes care of a lot of your other calculations that you have to take care of. But here's the math that I just kind of estimated. These are your annualized claims on this population. The MA premiums would probably be about $1.6 million. And that's based, they just charge you just like a fully insured plan. You get an invoice, yes, sir.
I'm one of those you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, now, you said no network, so you don't have to worry about being in the network. You don't have to worry about what doctor you go to. Okay.
As long as they accept
And
Medicare.
they
As long
don't
as they
pay a
accept
As long as
premium,
they accept
What's that?
Medicare.
and they don't pay a premium, right? We pay the premium.
Correct, yeah.
So there's been some changes to the RX piece, if you know, well, I don't know if you know, but so in January 1, the prescription drug piece, Part D, changed the federal government.
Right.
So there's changes in how these plans operate this year, but it doesn't matter. The group plans are still basically the same. We can get basically 100% plan, like no deductible, no copays, no nothing.
So right now, what I'm hearing, a lot of places I go, they say, we don't take Medicare, but we'll take the other.
No, what they're saying is this. Here's what they don't want. That's an excellent question. What doctors don't want is just Medicare by itself.
Okay.
So what happens here is Medicare pays and then this plan pays, or
Okay.
this plan pays
Right.
100% of everything, right? They don't want someone wandering in it because Medicare's reimbursement rates are generally about 20 to 25% of what they normally charge. If you don't have a Medicare supplement, think of this as a Medicare supplement,
Okay.
but it's actually Medicare Part C. So it's in the government bank, right? But just think of it as a supplement.
So the plan I have, I would have to change it?
What are you on now? Are you on this plan?
Are you
you
on
on-
the DeSoto
Yeah.
plan?
Are you on
Yes,
this
I'm
plan?
on it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm on it.
Yeah.
yes. So there's
Okay.
yeah, so there's the issue. So we have to go out to the retiree community and say, you're gonna be on an MAPD plan, 100% plan, yay, come on in.
And
And
the
everybody's like,
spouse too.
well.
Is your spouse
maybe-
65?
Yeah,
Well, we're
Okay.
talking about, I mean, if we have, well, you and Coach Moorband,
Right.
who else would be, who else on board is on? Retiree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind
you
of
would be.
retiree.
Was like this.
So I'm just saying, should we make this decision? I mean, the three of y'all, it's gonna impact, so your ability to understand it and be able to tell other retirees, like, I mean, we wouldn't vote anything. You wouldn't have voted anything that was gonna be bad for you.
Okay. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
So
That's what I want to hear.
they've been telling us about this for the last few years, but our plan has been able to squeak by just by luck of the
Yeah.
draw.
Okay.
And so this year they're not. So we were like, okay, we need to go ahead and get Jason to come in and talk to him about it because it's great cost savings and it's, anyway, go ahead.
So good point. We've been talking about it for a while now. We've got them on some other plans. It's a lot of work. Okay. It's a lot of work on us. We bring the carriers in, we have these meetings. There's a gazillion questions, but there's a lot of money at stake. Okay. So you think, okay, well, how can this only be $350 a month? So what the federal government does is this. Everybody at the table has a Medicare medical score. Okay. And everybody at this table gets, when these carriers go on the risk, they get a stipend for each person. Let's say they say, okay, you're worth $10,000 a month, you're worth $3,000 a month, and you're worth $5,000. And they send the carrier that amount of money to manage your claims in that plan. So they don't really have to charge any premium, okay, because it's totally funded by the government. That's why a lot of the government officials don't really like it, because the government's on the risk, okay? but they're stable. The average premium is about $350. I have a couple that are in the low 300s, some of the high 300s. But what we're proposing to do is just send it out to market and see what comes back, right? Come back, because this is one of those deals, like if you want to look at this, we need to start shopping it now, have another meeting in about a month. And if you want to do it, we got to start laying the groundwork to communicate, say this is what we're going to be. So, and the people, for example, that don't have part A, part B, we got to start working with them. And if they can't get on something, then they stay on the plan. So there's no one's going to fall off the insurance. We're going to just work with each person to make sure they're taken care of. But I mean, we got about 400 people to deal with. So what this does for the school board is it permanently removes this plan population. It's just totally budgetable. It's just on a pure premium basis. It takes care of your GASP calculations or whatever your live OPEB, whatever it is. Yeah. So it's got a lot of other issues going on. And I'm telling you, once the population understands the benefits, it's gold.
They love it.
They love it. I mean, Raymond deals with them all the time. And
I mean, I have retirees call me like this week with questions for other employers that we have. And, our goal is to make this plan equal to or better than what they have now as under the UMR plan. Okay. Because we want this to work for them and work for the school board. Right? That's our goal. We want these retirees taken care of, but it's also our job to protect the plan financially. And so this is our recommendation for a way to do that.
If we made this decision now, is it a one-time deal or can we postpone it another year?
yeah, that's a good question. So it's basically just a 1 year. Every year you get a renewal. And if you wanted to reincorporate in the plan, you just amend the plan. Because when you're self-insured, you're making the decisions.
It's your money.
Get your money. It's
So, I mean, that does provide a safety net. Obviously, I don't know that anybody knows what's going to happen in Washington.
Right.
Or relative to the,
part safe, right?
yeah, so, I mean, all of this is speculating based upon current.
Right. Right.
Market.
Yeah.
And rules and.
Yeah.
So,
President Obama did
There
not.
are some things that are going on at the national level right now that are being pushed forward that we don't really know what's going to kind of.
Yeah.
It's a little.
So there was some movement at a national level. President Obama did not like Medicare Part C plans. And they slowly started defunding Medicare, 3% a year. And then as soon as Biden got in, put it right back in there. So it is, there is some volatility to Medicare, but, Trump said he's, not gonna, well, we'll see when he comes. Who knows what he says day to day. But the point being is that, yes, if we do it in 2026 and something defunded or something happens, we can just roll them right back onto the plan in 2027.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
This is another question. So the Medicare that they taking out every month, plus the DeSoto Parish School Board that I'm taking out,
Mhm.
will it come? Are you saying that it would be just $399 or $350?
No,
Not
that's
you.
it. You're zero.
Okay.
So your Part B that you pay right now that comes out of your check,
Okay,
you're gonna keep paying that,
right,
just like you do now.
okay.
How much do you pay DeSoto Parish for your coverage each month?
170.
160 for that.
Okay, and so how much would that go to, Stephen? Zero?
Zero.
Zero.
Oh, okay.
I'm
catching up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on Medicare, I had A and B. Well, last year, my B doubled.
Yeah.
It was almost $600
Yeah.
off of my social security check. Why did that double like that?
Because, so it's a couple things. Every year Medicare Part, so you got to pay for Medicare Part B. And it's means tested, so you either made a lot of money.
Haynesville Shell?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's him. That's him.
But it does go up.
You never get.
So it goes.
But you don't have to have it, do you, if you're on regular insurance?
Well, you will with this.
I dropped it.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
But so that's a good question. So if you want to, so what would have to happen here is the parish, I mean, the school board has to say, hey, this is our retiree plan. If you want to be on it, you're over 65
And
and
retire.
eligible for Medicare, you got to go back and get Part B.
Well, that's what I said. I dropped
Yeah,
it
you don't have
until
to,
I,
because you're active.
until I retire.
Yeah.
Well, I pay it now. and
That's
I'm
right.
not
That's right. No, if
retired.
you're active, that's absolutely.
So,
This
That's
is
the
save
best
that
call.
yeah.
$600.
This is only
That's the best
retirees,
Okay, another
retirees over 65.
You wanna hire him as a consultant?
Yes,
That
if
was
you're
a
still
smart call.
active, you absolutely do not need Medicare. So all we're saying now is, I'm introducing this concept, and you're not making any vote on this or anything like that. We're just introducing it, and I just say, I think we should shop it. And let's come back in a month and say, hey, here are the results, okay? And if it's right for 2026, we plan the rollout and the communications. And if it's not, then we'll talk about it again next year or whatever.
It's a lot of money on the table.
But y'all really believe
Yeah,
in
like
this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're getting
Yeah,
good
yeah,
advice.
that's fine.
I think we're getting good advice.
I would
So-
let my parents sign up for this.
When they first came out, I was totally skeptical. So this is probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And I put it in at Bossier Parish Police Jury, and the reps came around because they changed the law. Because we've all heard the Medicare individuals or the Medicare MAPD individual plans, how they make you go pill split, you gotta go to networks, they cut costs. And they do, those individual plans stink. Okay, I wouldn't sell them and I wouldn't buy them and I don't sell them and I just don't deal with them. But the group one is totally different.
I got one more call. I get about 10 calls a day offer me a certain Medicare deal every day. What
Every day.
what is
There you go.
that?
Oh, wow.
It's because it's a
I know.
lucrative
That's the
market.
individual plan.
Yeah.
But not
So-
only is it like beneficial for the retiree, but it keeps us from having to pass substantial increases onto our current staff that we're trying to maintain. We're trying to retain.
That's a great point.
So we need to let our
It lowers the
retirees
plan
know that,
cost.
that they're
So-
helping by.
Yeah, so one of the decisions you would make regarding the premiums, okay, let's say it's 350, I mean, that's up to you. I mean, we're saying, hey, the school board should pay all of that, make it free, but you don't really have to do that. You could say, okay, the retiree's gotta pay $35 or something like that. I mean, that's gonna be a financial decision. But what we're talking about here is this $2.6 million of claim liability, okay? This is the number that we gotta be thinking about, right?
Okay.
Okay, real quick, next one, I think I rolled through the dental. Okay, this is the dental plan. Same thing, dental plan hasn't had an increase forever. This is just standard underwriting, yada, yada. So this is the deficit I'm projecting. Here's the thing on dental. There's no insurance protection. You're totally self-funded. You have an administrator and you pay claims. The bottom line is, you just don't want to lose money on the dental plan, right? You don't want to make any, but you don't want to lose any. So, 16% increase, but a 16% increase on a $40 premium, that's $5, right?
Yeah.
So I would say just get even on this one, just so we don't go in the ditch and I have to come back and ask for 30% next year because it's not that big a ticket item. And again, we just don't want to lose money on dental, right? That's all.
We had delayed this a couple of years. We looked at it and decided to wait. It's probably time now.
Well, they're going just like 20% on it now. And may protect us for a few years, probably.
Yeah.
But on a $10 premium, it's not gonna be very much.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So again, this is just,
I do
I think that's it.
Just each way, yeah.
Can I ask you, we talked about the medical plan and your recommendation of obviously leaving everything alone, the benefits and the structure of the plan. Is that your approach to this as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so does everybody's dental plan?
Yeah, I mean,
It's like, I know for my sake, and I hear it from a lot of other people, it's like, they can take it or leave it kind of thing. It's
and
that's it. It's.
I would say
Too
go
much.
flip down to the dental benefits real quick. I got the
Is that all
scheduled
the
benefits.
very
Yeah, keep
end?
going. Next one. There you go. So the scheduled dental, the only thing, I mean, you got a $2,000 annual maximum. You got ortho, it's a standard 100% preventative basic. This is a good, you got no
No
deductible.
deductible.
So you have a way better than average dental plan. So, it's easy to be focused on benefits in the meeting like this, But really, when you back out and you use it for kind of other business purposes, you guys really ought to be you really ought to use the good benefits you have for recruiting and retention. And like, look, when new people are coming in, you're like, we got a better than average.
Yeah, so to your point, we've talked about that at this table with our workforce team and in that meeting, it's a bunch of folks here, but it's hard to measure that against other districts or to say ours is better than yours, because sometimes it's hard to find what, it's like 15 layers deep in another district's website or whatever. And so it's hard for us to be able to quantify or communicate how much better our medical and dental plans are, how much they'll save, or what benefits they are. That's kind of, maybe we need to have that conversation offline and talk about how we can communicate that with a one pager or some kind of.
We got you on that. So next week, our company is releasing this year's benchmarking plan. So we can benchmark your plan against region, size, and the same industry, benefits and contributions. And we'll do that. So we'll come back with a report and sit down with you, all your
Medical, dental.
and it'll show you, and I guarantee you'll be in top 10%. And you'll see, but it'll also show you, it also shows what I like about it more is the contribution structure on all of the municipalities across the South, this region and everything. Because you can look and say, look, God, we're only paying, they're paying $50 a month and everybody else is paying $200 a month. So it shows, it's a good tool for what you're saying, like, hey, we can either make some adjustments and prove why we should do this and still be competitive, or say, look how much better we are than everybody else. So we'll come back with that.
We're certainly going to need it in communicating any prospective rate increase. I mean, that would definitely be helpful. And that's something I want to visit with y'all, that, what does that communication plan look like? Like, how do we, if that is the direction the board chooses to go, then how do we start, who do we start with to make sure that people are clear on what it is and what it's not? And,
Okay. We'll do it. We'll do a benchmark report and probably have that ready. They released the 2025 one, I think, on the 6th, but it's the last year's is just as good. I mean, it'll be just updated. So we can turn that around in about a week and just send you the results. It's about a 50-page document, but we'll pull out all the, stuff, right? So.
Unless you just need sleep, something on
But, okay, let's just say that, well, I know you're gonna shop it, and so then we would know exactly how much we would save if we moved to that. So it would lower the potential increase we'd have to pass on to active employees, but it probably wouldn't be enough to keep it from having to have an increase at all.
Well, the issue, that's a good point, because the issue is this, the medic, you're talking about the retirement plan, right? So that's effective January 1, okay? So you put your rate, do all your rates and everything for
10-1
for
July 1.
July 1. So if we could shop it out quick and get it back and make a quick decision, you could say, well, this is gonna zip this much off the top and readjust but I don't know if we have enough time to get that done. But I mean, we can say, but you're right. No, it definitely could offset the necessary increase. That's why I said I'm calling for 19, but really I think 10, 12 is probably a better number. Just to kind of not have to come back next year and ask for 30, so.
Well, and then, I mean, other parishes have been having this issue, and like, I think when we started going to those regional things, I was like, wow, because they've done some of these things and their plans were still getting hit bad.
Yeah.
And so it just caught up with us. But it's, like I said, we've been looking at it, they've been talking to us about it, but.
Well, I mean, the sheer cost of doing business. So even if claims didn't go up, just what it costs to have a procedure, I mean, it's for us to not have to do anything for 10 plus years.
Unbelievable.
Huge.
We're going 10 years.
And just so y'all know, like when I'm going out and meeting with other clients and employers, I use y'all's plan. I don't say, I always say your name, but I'm like, I've got a plan that's been self-funded and this is their deductible and this is their out of pocket, and they have not changed their benefits since 2010. And they're like, what? I mean, your deductible and out of pocket.
But that's also because when we bring something to y'all that they've recommended, y'all approve it, like
That's right.
the Walgreens. So y'all are receptive to making changes to save money, and
And it proves itself. So, I mean, that's kudos to y'all for keeping those benefits in place.
All right, that's all I got.
Thanks a
Any
lot.
questions? Okay.
All right, just next steps for decision-making from what's your suggestion or timeframe that we need to, obviously, there's no action to be taken today, it's for information purposes.
Well, I gotta get moving on the stop loss space, so I'm gonna go ahead and execute on that, just because they don't stop the underwriting and they can change their numbers until I send it back to them and say it's sold, right?
Sure.
So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, just to lock it down. But I'll go ahead and we'll send out the Medicare plan for specs, we'll just say, and then we can gather back up, and you don't have to do anything on that besides wait for another meeting.
We talked about meeting next month.
Yeah.
Together next month.
Yeah, okay.
And they're now starting to quote on those for January 1. They started like about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, just
So I would say just for now, gather up, kind of spitball an increase that you want, let them do their math. We'll come back with the MAPD, and that's gonna be, I mean, I think employees expect some kind of an increase every year. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, right? So I think it'll probably go over better than you think it will. The MAPD thing is gonna be a monumental, like, we need to get moving on that and time it and have a plan, which we do, but we need to get going. So let's come back next month with actual proposals. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Yep, good. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for the 5-minute presentation.
I told you.
That wasn't 5 minutes.
We may want to avoid 175 on that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got.
That's it. I do want
Thank you guys again for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. We go this way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
So no action is required, just listening. So now we go for reimbursement grant.
Okay, so this is the one for, as of yesterday, I have requested, grants through March now, so I'll be getting April, May, and June, total requested and received, total requested now is 4.5 million, and we've received all the 67,000 of that, so I'll continue to work on those, requests monthly, get those in. The year ends June 30th, so our final request will be in by July 15th, and all the money should be in fairly quickly from there, and then we'll be finished with 24-25. That's all I have for the grants.
Thank you, Mr. Flowers.
I'm gonna call out one thing while we're on that. I just saw the ROTC, but we have two openings at Mansfield High for JROTC. All of you aware of our struggles with filling that role at North DeSoto, and was not able to, so that program was closed. And there was concern with the same situation happening at Mansfield because of the nationwide shortage of qualified and interested applicants. So, but so we attempted to shift that last year from Army ROTC to Air Force on the north end. They would not entertain that because if you've got an Army program in the district, you've got to stay Army all the way. So worst case scenario, that this program ends up having to close as an Army ROTC, we could bring it back district-wide, potentially as an Air Force ROTC. And my thoughts around that are, there's a lot more retired Air Force folks in the neighborhood just because of Barksdale and what have you. That might be another option. Obviously, our best case scenario is we find a enlisted and an officer like we've had, but just so you're aware.
Is there all perhaps Mansfield losing that program?
That's what
They have no instructors as of right now.
Yeah.
The job's posted and we're,
The loss of it also very low. Well, everyone starts starting a fire for them. But what if we close it now and went back to airport ROTC in both places?
Well, that's what I was just saying. I mean, that's going to be the next option. I don't know how quickly that we can pivot. It's likely you're gonna not gonna be able to pull that off by August. You know,
That's if we hang on and all of a sudden they come in and say, so that's.
well, I mean, we don't have instructors, there won't be an ROTC. Right now, we have no applicants, zero.
Canada's got multiple positions open that they don't have applicants for as well.
So they are.
Yes, sir. Bossier's Air Force, Canada's Army.
So, okay, you said Bose is what now?
Bossier's Air Force.
Okay. Do we have any knowledge of what will be available in the airport?
We can't even entertain conversations with them. They wanted, because we have Army in parish already, we can't entertain conversations with them.
We need to have this though, this is probably a conversation outside of finance, but we definitely will keep you up
One
to
ain't gonna
speed
create
on,
on the other one.
yeah, on the
That's what it is.
progress. And we'll start exploring those other options as soon as we're good.
I know nobody wants to close it.
Well, I just, hey, it's up there. We're coming to the close of the school year and I'm just letting you know we're struggling in that area, so.
Yes, sir. All right. Revision and approve the budget. Review and approve the budget revision.
There's no budget revisions at this time.
Mr. Dollar, operating report.
All right, so last month, we began with 42 work orders, ended up having 233 completed, 204 ended with 61. Right now, we're having just a lot of HVAC problems, because it's ramping up. I've got a company on contract that started work today that is going through every chiller on our site over the next 3 weeks and rebuilding them and getting them operational. And any parts that are going to be broke, they'll have plenty of time to have them repaired before August 1st. We don't have an incident like last year. We, as y'all saw the announcement this week, we did hire Select Bo Odom to be our new supervisor of operations. He's ready to hit the ground running. Had a good conversation with him this morning with some ideas that he has. Technology report.
What are we looking at the middle school? As, you saying chillers and things.
So we went to preventative maintenance contract with Store Electric. And part of that contract is them to do a full shutdown and inspection of every chiller and air handler in the parish. And in that process, they will fix anything they find is wrong. Instead of doing the Band-Aid that we're doing now, we've got a problem, let's get ahead of it. And that's what we're trying to do with this preventative maintenance.
This is gonna happen.
Starting today, they check them 3 times a year. So they're checking everything now. They'll do a spot check come September. They'll do a boiler check in October. And then repeat the process again next year, starting in January.
The root system, enhanced or
Yes, sir. Mr. Polly can't, we got over 100 units in the parish. He can't put his hands on everything and fix it all at one time. So we got this company hired in, gave us a really good rate for over a 3-year period to do this work. Monthly technology report. We had started with 86, had 311 requested, completed 320. A lot of these that have increased lately was due to like, hey, I'm out of ink and a printer, stuff like that. They are in the middle right now of swapping out every smart board and printer in the parish. That's part of our renewal plan. And also we've shifted away from Chromebooks for teachers and have signed all those teachers' laptops, because a lot of our platforms that we're using it for instruction have to be done on a PC versus a Chromebook. So all the teachers are getting new technology to take home and in their classroom over the next month. Transportation reports, they had 77 work orders, completed 77 of those. And hopefully in the next 30 minutes, we'll have that text saying the last time all buses have made it home safely. They did hire a new staff member. They're getting them trained and onboarded right now. He's just a mechanic. He's a mechanic for him. So looking at our total counts for April, we had 4,700 students fed on average each day. For the year, we feed 4,617 students daily. That's all I have.
Going back to the technology, always also keep it up with security, that is to say, what kids.
Yes, sir. We have, Go Guardians in place 24/7. And that is what limits the items they can look at on their Chromebooks. Certain keywords, it'll shut down the computer. And then we have Gaggle Suite, which is 24/7, looking for keywords on documents, searches, and so forth. So emails. If a kid types in the letters KMS, which is short for kill myself, as a joke, I get an email about it. I can send an email to Mr. Flanders and say, "You're the bomb." I get an email saying that that's a threat. It's the word bomb. That's how much it gets into. Some of them,
It may or may not.
it may or may not be true that he's the bomb or not, but that's why you're not sending it to you. I did not compliment you, but we have that going 24/7. Mr. Fuller's team responds to that. Ms. Jackson goes to, gets calls not weekly, but several times a month on suicide threats that catches up, that she then researches to see the validity of them or not.
Okay,
That's good.
approval of the 2025-26 annual operating budget.
With the workman's comp insurance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
That's
okay.
right.
Miss Ward was gonna do that, but she went to the beach and she said she wasn't gonna do it, so I'm not gonna do it. She wouldn't, guess video in for that, so it's just informational. We shopped our workman's comp policy for a 2-year policy. We've had such a non-claim with our workman's comp. We have such low, right, knock on wood, a low workman's comp claims history that we were able to shop a pretty good rate. Most districts have to have a $500,000 retention, and we were able to get away with a $450,000 retention. Now, it will be a slight increase just because our payroll has gone up since the last renewal policy. And so we will have a rate increase of about $11,000, but industry-wide, that is a small increase comparative. That's just informational, and that increase, or that policy is with Alliance.
And we've
That's
got a healthy fund balance.
Yes, we do, because we are self-insured, so this is sort of like our stop loss with medical. This is just, if you go over this certain for a policy or for a claim, this is when the insurance would kick in, but we have not had a claim that has to do that, so that's why we have favorable rates. Any questions about the workman's comp policy?
Just a comment, working comp may be working a little better, not this way. Since the public pressure on the rates right now. Probably shouldn't say any of that, because I don't really know what the empirically say it, but it's just.
Well, ours has done us pretty well, and thanks to our staff, we kind of keep that at minimum, so we don't talk about it.
All right, then, we're moving on. Approve of the 2025-26 annual operating budget. Mr. McClure.
So we are not going to review the budget today because we are not finished with the budget. We've had some kind of late information come in. And we're still pretty focused, that's what I'm working on right now, on payroll conversion, because we're trying to go live with payroll July 1. So there's still a lot to be done.
Yes, ma'am.
So we will have that, should have that ready for the board meeting in June, which is when y'all vote on it anyway. Well, and let me just mention something, I don't know how it's going to come out, but said a couple of weeks ago that I got that email from the assessor's office saying that values so far were coming back low for property tax. And we're going tomorrow, is that right? To meet with the assessor, just, get a little more information on what's going on. So that's kind of
You
works.
said it comes, you mean the assessed value in the area.
So there's a methodology to how they, right now, the values are very low, but Mr. Cordray has told us that he's got a bunch of new wells that he's got to put on the
pass or whatever.
Yeah,
Woods, whatever they
into
call
the
it.
system. And, so that didn't mean a lot to me and or these guys, he was like, well, what does that mean from the standpoint of overall valuation? And so we're gonna visit with him tomorrow to kind of understand what that process looks like and maybe get a better idea of a forecast, you know.
Because it changed on the way they value like the oil and gas. I think it used to be like maybe on the equipment or something, I'm not exactly sure, but now it's based on income. So when you have a new well, there's a lot. But then like after that first year, it drops off considerably. So because, Mr. Corley was able to find out that we have 52 new wells, I think it was, that aren't on the books yet. But I'm like, okay, but what does that mean for the future when we don't have new wells? You know, that's hard to plan for from year to year.
Well, and so part of that, like us making sure that we forecast the budget and we make projections that are sensible. Like we need to understand a little more of what's left for him to do, them to do, so that we can make a more informed decision on projecting numbers. But you asked about
the reassessment here.
No, sir, no.
Last year, 2024 was.
It will be going on what they did last year.
Yeah, but that would mean.
for
that would
existing
mean-
properties. I mean, my house, your house, everybody else's property, but new wells and the new law, or I guess it's a law that changed that, you know, it has to do with the way wells are paid or evaluated. Yeah,
But technically, Mr. Glenn, if they decreased considerably, then you can move up to the max authorized millage. And it wasn't that much more than what we're doing, but I can't see us doing that, especially in a year that we're trying to do renewals. I can't see us increasing the
I say
millages.
moving up, you're about roll forward.
Yes,
It's
sir.
not really roll forward. It's not
Roll
really, that's a whole different thing. It's a whole different terminology, just the max authorized value. But anyway, so Ty has that up there for the values that we're recommending for millages that we present at the board. And I want to do that. So keeping them the same. We don't know until, the hard thing is, Mr. Glenn, we don't
Where's
know the
North
values
DeSoto?
until September, or October, when the assessor's office releases all of them. So we're saying, we're guessing at what we're going to assess because we don't have the values until then.
Where's North DeSoto Village?
They don't have it anymore. That debt's paid.
Wow, and we can't get it really fast.
That debt's paid. We had the millage on, that 3.6, that was paid. So we don't have a millage there anymore.
This
Oh,
is,
that was a bond.
We can give them one.
No, we can't. No, we can't.
No,
we can't
well, we
afford it.
tried.
Yeah,
They gotta
if they vote for it,
We
yeah.
tried.
We tried
Remember?
twice, unsuccessfully.
for the millage renewal, for the parish wides, we're recommend keeping those the same. If you see the top column where it says parish-wide millages, those are all gonna remain the same. But when you drop down to the GO bond millages for each district, you can see in the first column that, like the 13.5 for Logansport, recommend reducing to 10, which is a decrease of 3.15. And then Stanley, we're going from 15 to 5. And then for Mansfield, from 4 to 3. So you can see we recommend a reduction of all of those bond millages.
Save you more money.
I think it's good we're holding the others parish-wide because with our renewal coming up next year, we need to
Right.
try to have every weapon we can to get through.
Can I get a motion?
November,
So motion,
November,
Can I get a,
the renewal.
so move.
all in favor? Mr. King, can I get a second?
Well, let's listen to this, I wasn't sure.
Okay, well, we gonna have to get a motion on it to approve it.
To approve these, I'll second.
Okay, then second, all in favor, let know by aye. 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 Okay, Mr. King. Mr. Corley, your hands.
Ma'am?
Comments?
Oh, okay. No, I was just gonna, introduce y'all or make reference to Mr. Wedgeworth, and I already did that. He's not here today. He's here today. He's not in here. And, yeah, Josh had already mentioned, Mr. Coach Odom coming aboard, in the maintenance department, so, lots going on. And, but I wanna thank this team, finance, operations, and this committee for your work. Having a great school year. And, yeah, I don't want to jinx it before it's officially over with, but it's smooth and, seems with a lot of problems. And like Josh Dahlem came aboard on the maintenance end, and he's quickly became an expert in all things plumbing, electrical, chillers, etc. If something needed to glitch, it had a glitch in the last 6 months.
Concrete got poured at North Soda High School today over the water. We fixed the water leak. We fixed the water leak, repaired it. Everything was good to go. So now it's back operational in that facility. Which is good because that was just a hazard I was worried about until they could get it resolved.
So progress continues at Mansfield ballparks and the covered practice field. And then,
We get the thing, right?
oh, yes, sir.
So it was 9,500 gallons of fuel.
It was still in there?
And it was two 18-wheeler loads, 9,500 gallons. We'll know what type of fuel it was.
Yeah.
It's been there a long time.
Long time.
Hopefully they'll be able to tell us the age.
Sell
Look, we don't know. We don't want to know. They did not have to take it apart or anything. But it was all done by Jones Environmental because we had to have a licensed contractor to do it. They tested the soil. Soil was not in danger, so we were able to continue work. So you'll be able to see forms poured. It's a lot more level now. Baseball is actually getting turf. Baseball, softball is getting turf June 6th or June 9th week, depending on weather. That facility is not, the practice facility is not scheduled for turf until September. So
About the tank, only you all would know, right? The public don't know as to, in other words, they don't even know what's in the tank.
Well, it doesn't matter that,
Yeah.
I mean, this was all
Yeah, because,
encapsulated.
somebody come back and
But
say,
it was
"Hey,
done by Jones Environmental. So we hired a licensed company to come in and contain it and get rid of everything.
Yeah.
That's the main. But we don't really know what kind of.
We'll know this, we should know this week or next.
Okay, let me just say this and we'll wrap it up because, we've got staff that's got to roll too. But, the project at, Logansport is about to ramp up, starting next week with kids off. And then obviously both projects, the middle school and the lower elementary wings on the north end will kick off, Monday.
So they've got, for all practical purposes, it's starting Monday. Right now, they've got deployment lined up for June 2nd.
For Mansfield members, Coach Thomas is gonna be in the Mansfield gym at 5 o'clock, you know.
Oh, yeah.
We got the meeting group thing.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Thomas.
Meeting adjourned.
Uh,
Now y'all
Yeah.
resolve.